Budapest was a really difficult track for us. We went in there with hopes that the update we put on in Spa and some of the work we were doing this year would be enough to transform the performance and put us within a gap of being able to score a point or two. But in reality, as you saw, we didn't have the pace, whether that be in qualifying or in long run. Now, a lot of that was known going into the event. We have an issue certainly with long sustained corners, and Budapest is pretty much the track for that. And so we're having to drive around that. The balance, putting it more simply, wasn't where we needed it to be able for the car to work properly. Now, the positive news is there's many other tracks where this car will absolutely fly, but we do have the fact that Budapest, and there's a few other coming up this year, a little bit later on, it will be difficult for us, and we need to assess what we can change and what we can fix before we get there. I think the positive news for me, just globally, is it's a good time to take stock of the season as a whole. We're 5th in the Constructors' Championship. Yes, Sauber and Aston Martin aren't that far behind, but we've managed to, across a huge range of circuits, score points in a way that we haven't been able to do any other year. We added development to the car multiple times this year and an update in Spa, which is delivering performance. And we have tracks coming up, Monza, Baku, Zandvoort, where I'm confident will be competitive. On the whole, we've done well. But I think it always just shows you that when it's this close, and it is this close in the field, we have to absolutely stand up above all others and be perfect on execution every weekend in order to be able to sustain that position. Welcome to the Vowles Verdict, presented by Kraken. First question is from Joe, and it's, what are the aspects of the weekend that made it trickier for us, or the circuit probably more specifically? So Budapest, if you look at a track map, you'll sort of see it quite quickly. There's a lot of corners that are quite rounded, where you go into the corner and you have sustained lateral G for a long period of time. And it's a weakness that we highlighted back in Barcelona. It's a weakness that I think will be there in Qatar, for transparency as well. But it's an element of our car that we know is a weakness, but it's not something we'll invest and fix in 2025. It's something we very much look forward to 26 and have some aspects of the car that are fixing this. But as already mentioned a long time ago, our focus is on next year and beyond, and we don't want to invest precious resource into fixing a few circuits in 2025. Our next question is from Lockie, and hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. And it's, how do I feel about our 70 points? And do we feel we could have done better? So how I feel, first of all, mixed emotions. I'm very proud of where we come from. We have to remember this is our best start to the season for over a decade, and we've done well to score a good number of points on our journey here. So that's the positive aspect of things. The negative is always when I reflect back on certain races, Imola being one with strategy with Carlos, Miami being another, which is a combination of accident, car damage, and conditions. We had more points that we could have scored across those two events where the car was performing very, very well. And the same in Austria. We had a reliability fault with Alex when the car was running P6 and comfortably P6 at that point in time. So I know there's real tangible points we've left on the table, and in a close fought championship as it is, that's painful. However, nothing beats a fast car, and I'm confident the car we have across most of the circuits remaining for the rest of the year will be competitive. We have a duty and responsibility to score as many points as we can in that journey. Next question is from Samantha, which is, what do you consider the biggest improvement of the team across the year? And this is a particular synonymous with Formula One, but it's not one thing. There's no one area where I look at it and go, wow, that's substantially better. But there are 1,000 areas where I can see the bar has been really raised across the last 12 months. And here's the good news, continues to raise across the year, and I can see the direction of travel for next year as well. And that goes from quality of the finish of the floor, to number of quantities of spares at the track, to how the car even just fits together, how the cooling system works, how much data we have, how clean the data is off the car, how long it's taking to get the idea to the car, and how much performance we added in the year. We have to remember we've done 2 front wings and a complete package in a time last year where we would have really just done a few tiny upgrades to the car. So it's all moving forward at a good rate. But so is everyone else around us. It's a relative game, and we have to keep upping what we're delivering in order to make sure we're staying ahead. A question from Andrew, which was, what do you think our fundamental flaw in Hungary was, and can it be resolved by the August break, or before or after the August break? And the answer to that is, we have a really good understanding of where the weakness is. There's actually 4 characteristics all playing into each other, which all got exposed in Budapest. As I already mentioned, our focus is on 2026. The car we have now is the car that we will have to the end of the year. That's a conscious decision because next year is a clean sheet of paper that we can tear everything up, start again, and do a really good job with the foundation. So it's important that we take that stride. But that doesn't mean we've given up on the rest of the year. As I mentioned, we have 3 circuits coming up. One is Zandvoort. Zandvoort, a track where we qualified incredibly well a few years ago. We've raced there well for the last few years, and I'm confident this car will do the same again this year. Monza, a track where, again, we tend to have our high point score, but the characteristics of the car, again, should be strong there. And then finally going to Baku, again, last year, if you remember, double points finish for us and a strong track. So those are just the next 3. And what we have to make sure we do is get our reliability, our build, our operations, our strategy, our drivers together, everything coming together to make sure we maximize our point score. So that issue in Budapest won't come out. And again, as mentioned earlier, it was really a fundamental of how the cornering sequences and how long you're in the corner in Budapest combined with being at maximum downforce. Now that doesn't happen very often, but Budapest certainly accentuates the problem. Next question is from Erica, which was, how did it feel to have so many fans in the fan zone in Budapest at the time? And thank you for the cap. So now I know who it is. I can actually paint an image in my mind. You're welcome, and it was a pleasure. Incredible. It's really great to see year on year just how many fans are out there supporting us. And I don't mean fans of the sport. Williams fans were just all over and throughout that fan forum, which meant a lot to me. And it's a really great interaction for us. You have to remember why we do this. It's for a fan base all over the world, and it's a representation of you. So it's a thank you back in return for being there and welcoming me so warmly. Next question is from Owen, and it's, what actually happens in the factory shutdown period, and what does it mean in terms of regulations or otherwise? So interesting little bit of background, I think anyway. We fought, a lot of us teams fought this shutdown period a few years ago, but it's one of the best things, if not the best regulation we've written as a sport. And here's why. When I close my laptop, which has to be by Saturday morning, early hours, the amount of emails we have in there will be probably and marginally exactly the same when I open the laptop 2 weeks after that point, because everyone has gone away. So whereas you normally take holiday and there's still individuals working and you have to remain on top of what's happening, here you really can switch off. It takes a few days for me on a personal level, but you can switch off. What is allowed, however, and this will interact a little bit with me, but quite uniquely to myself, is you're allowed commercial activities. So we're still actively out there working with our partners and sponsors in order to bring people on our journey. And that can still take place during that 2-week period. You're still allowed to do finance and HR and some functions effectively able to work through that period of time. Think of it as hygiene. We're just going to clear up what's left over and what we need to be still doing in that period. And allowed to do some fundamental IT, i.e. just really maintaining and upgrading and keeping things in the right space, and not development. So the business itself is not a complete ghost town. We have an active role in making sure that as we come back post-August break, it's in a better place than where we started, either through maintenance just of the site or through some hygiene factors through some of these key areas I've just spoken about. It also tends to be an area where you could do driver contracts, and historically that's been the case, but not for us. We have Carlos and Alex, and we're in a really great state in that regard. So for me, it'll be an ability to switch off and spend time with family.